He had just started the engine and was going through his pre-flight check when his plane was shaken by a huge explosion.
A rocket from across the flight deck misfired, zoomed across the flight deck and hit these external fuel tanks of his plane.
Within seconds, McCain's plane was engulfed in flames.
I could see the fire around the airplane, and I knew that I had to get out. I even shut down the engine. I remember it was just an automatic kind of reaction.
A video camera on the ship's bridge captured all the action. Though difficult to make out, we can see McCain as he jumps from his plane and rolls to safety.
And the guy in the plane next to me tried to do the same thing I did, only he fell and was in the flames. I started back towards him. Right at that time, the first bomb went off.
The fire on the flight deck set off a chain reaction of explosions as it spread to the decks below. Fire crews spent more than 36 hours struggling to save the ship. And in the end, they succeeded, though 134 men died.
That accident was the worst non-wartime fire that's ever occurred to a U.S. Navy ship. I mean, it was an extraordinary, extraordinary tragedy.
Miraculously, John McCain, who had been sitting right in the bullseye of that rocket, managed to survive the now famous Forrestal fire. For some men, such a close brush with death would have satisfied any desire for combat. But McCain immediately volunteered for duty aboard another ship, the USS Oriskany. So just 2 months later, McCain was back in the thick of the action. October 26, 1967, McCain and his fellow pilots were given flight instruction for a highly dangerous mission. Their target, a power plant in Hanoi, the most heavily defended city in North Vietnam.
We received a briefing, and one of my good friends stopped me on the way out. His name was Lou Chatham, and Lou said, "You better be careful. We're going to lose some planes today." And I said, "Lou, you don't have to worry about that happening to me."
McCain would have plenty of opportunity to remember those words, for just as he was approaching his target, the North Vietnamese fired dozens of surface-to-air missiles.
I got over the target and rolled in, and just as I released the bombs, I started to pull back on the stick. Surface-to-air missile hit the right wing of the airplane, taking it off, sending the airplane into a very steep gyrating spiral.
McCain had to bail out fast. The force of ejection broke both his arms and his right knee, knocking him unconscious as he floated down into enemy territory. In London, John's father, Admiral Jack McCain, was the first to get the news that his son's plane had been shot down. No one knew whether he had survived.
His parents called me and they said, "Johnny's been shot down." And I said, "What do you think?" And I remember that his dad said, "I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know." And his mother said, "I think we've lost him."
I remember a feeling of something like a steel ball being out 2 feet away from me and hitting me right in the center of the chest. And it's the first time in a long time I ever cried, because I thought my brother was dead.
McCain was alive, but just barely. Vietnamese villagers dragged his broken body from a lake in the middle of Hanoi. His ordeal was far from over. An angry mob had gathered, looking for revenge against the pilot who had dropped bombs from the sky. They beat and stabbed McCain with a bayonet in his ankle and groin. Finally, Vietnamese soldiers threw McCain in the back of a truck and took him to the prison known to Americans as the Hanoi Hilton.